All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. Today, we throw down our picks and predictions for Week 4 of the college football betting season. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock. Today, I'm joined by a guy who plays the heel of this particular program, Terrell Furman. Terrell, what do you got for us today, man?
Playing heel? No, I am heel. This is a lifestyle here. The villain really real. Here at your service. Thank you.
Good to have you in with us tonight. We're also joined by a guy I consider the Batman to my Robin on this show. He's Scott, Bet the Total Bogman. How we doing today, Boggs? Do you have that weekend feeling yet?
I would love to get some of that Bruce Wayne money. I can tell you that much. But yeah, hopefully we get it this weekend. So we're there. I'm excited for this week. A fun slate of games, a lot of close ones. This is going to be a big time college football weekend.
Absolutely. I want to thank everyone who tunes in each and every week and puts up with our nonsense here. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support what we do here at Betting Pros. And before we jump into the games, I want to remind you about the Betting Pros Discord. Looking to up your game in sports betting? Join our exclusive sports betting Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat. Not only can you connect with expert handicappers who provide free picks for NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL player props, live betting, and more, but you can also now enter your own picks in our weekly community picks. Cast your vote, see how your picks stack up against the experts like Bogman, like Terrell, and track your success. And let's kick off the weekend the right way, gentlemen. It's a Big Ten battle between the 24th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska to battle the 22nd ranked Cornhuskers. I don't know a lot about the Great Plains, I'll be honest. I've never been there, but I know there's not a lot to do. So I imagine the Sea of Red should be absolutely packed. The spread has shrunk since our early line show, with Matt Rule's men now favored by 7.5. One of Illinois' top two running backs, Aiden Laufrey, he remains banged up. Besides from that, though, it's a pretty clean bill of health for the Illini. On the other side of the field, though, Nebraska dealing with some injuries here. Defensive end, Jamari Butler, questionable. Right guard, Micah Maskua, also going to be out of this one. Candidly, Bogman, I talked about it on the earlier show. I still want the under in this one. Nebraska 3-0 to the under. Illinois 2-1 to the under. And also, this series goes back to 2021. They're 3-0 to the under as well. Can I wait until Friday, though, is my question to you. DraftKings usually gives us this nice little boost, 50% boost on Friday to get invested with that Friday night game. Can I wait to get in on the under, or do you think the total will be too low for me to back at that point?
No, I think you're okay, because the majority of the tickets are the majority of the tickets are on the over, but the cash is slightly favoring towards the under, so maybe it just won't move too much here. But I like Illinois plus the points, and I like the under in this game. Ooh. And it's because Raiola and this Nebraska team are very good. They should win. They should win going away. Illinois is pesky. They're annoying. They haven't even gotten the run game yet. Going yet. Luke Altmaier has improved so much. He's not throwing these bad interceptions that he threw last season, and that defense is turnover happy. 9 forced turnovers. Wow. They already have, Illinois, and you're going up against a freshman here. Yes, it's at home. We did see them wax Colorado. I think Illinois is a better overall team, specifically on defense, than Colorado. So I think the idea here should be play conservative with Raiola. Don't let him fall into the trap of throwing these interceptions like we saw Jalen Daniels do against Illinois. Should be a somewhat conservative game plan, I feel like, for Nebraska. Don't turn the ball over. Don't put that ball in harm's way. And you're going to have Illinois trying to score on this Nebraska defense. Should be difficult as well. I like a muddy, ugly, slow-paced game in this one. So I'm on. Give me the points for Illinois, but I like the under a little bit better.
Okay. How do you feel about Terrell? I know you've tried to fade Raiola at different points this season, not so successfully. Are you going back to that strategy here in week number 4?
Oh, absolutely. I'm calling the TVA on the Patrick Mahomes variant here, and they're going to go ahead and handle business and purge him and get him up out of here. Look, this is a really, really tough spot, and I'm sorry. Yes, okay, maybe I was ahead of myself with Colorado, and Colorado's really, really bad. It's all right. It's cool. A lot of people took Colorado. But here, this is Big Ten. Yeah. Like, look at the defenses that they played up until this point. They played UTEP, they played Colorado, they played Northern Iowa. Like, this hype train is coming to an end, and it's going to be really real when Brett Bielema comes in here with Illinois, and they look really, really solid on defense. Boggs talked about it, 9 takeaways on defense this season. I think that missing the guard for Nebraska as well, that's going to hurt them a little bit. Like, I like the defense. I like to take the points. I like the under. I think the Illini go out here and get a money line win possibly here against Nebraska. Ooh. I think it's a 3-point game either way.
Okay, all right. Let's move to the Saturday slate here where the Clemson Tigers are now favored by 20.5 points over NC State. This line has moved 4 points since our earlier show in the week and also 14 points since last week in general. Probably because we got news earlier this week that Wolfpack starting quarterback Grayson McCall will be out of this one. It will be freshman QB CJ Bailey who gets the nod for the Wolfpack. Meanwhile, for Clemson, it's starting wide receiver Tyler Brown, who's questionable, as well as star defensive end Peter Woods. Just kind of feels like a gross game in general to get invested with. Kind of a gross overall noon slate, to be honest with you folks. Is there any semblance of value here for you, Terrell?
Yeah, I think you got to reluctantly just lay the points with Clemson. NC State's really bad. NC State might be one of the worst Power 4 teams out there. Like, they just don't look good on offense. Like, at any point, even with McCall out there, I didn't think they looked good. I think La Tech is possibly one of the worst FBS teams in all of FBS, and they couldn't score. Like, they legitimately couldn't score with McCall in. They were settling for field goals. They were punting a lot. Like, they never got settled into that offense. It was a bunch of penalties that was moving them back. And now you're telling me that you go and you add a freshman who did bring them back in the game. Again, it's La Tech, but he brought them back. But this is Death Valley. I think Dabo's going to scheme up a really, really good defense that's going to challenge Bailey as a passer, really, really get after him, force turnovers. The run defense let Dylan Sampson run for 20, 132, and 2. I think Maffa can have just as good as a game. Like, I don't think this is even close. I think NC State is really, really bad, and this is just the Clemson flex their muscles at home game. I'll lay 20.5.
How do you feel about it, Bogman?
Yeah, the same way. I mean, Terrell did a great job mentioning here about how bad NC State has been. CJ Bailey, honestly, might be an upgrade on what we saw from Grayson McCall. McCall has been awful so far this year. I think the difference here is that Bailey is just inexperienced. This is a tough road game, as Terrell mentioned, in Death Valley. So the difference is that the NC State offensive line, who has a lot of returning experience, has just not looked good. I think they get dominated at that point. I think they're going to have to play catch up. That's where you get a young starter to make mistakes and take advantage of them. I think this game rolls downhill in Clemson's favor. So if I'm doing anything in this game, I'm laying the points and taking the Tigers, but I don't particularly like it because I don't love what I've seen from Clemson so much either. They did look great against App State. Then they had the bye week. The Georgia game probably wasn't as bad as the score, but it was still bad. So I would lay the points to take Clemson. I don't think I'd touch the total here because I think Clemson can get most of it by themselves, but it would also not be a surprise to see NC State get blanked.
Okay, and before we keep it moving, don't forget to join our college football podcast group. Sync your picks and use our quick pick feature on the BettingPros sports betting app to get a chance to win free prizes. You can also elevate your betting strategy and join the conversation today at bettingpros.com/college. All right, shifting gears to the later afternoon slate where the action really is picking up here, starting in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I'm sure Connor Stallions will be watching his 18th ranked Wolverines take on the 11th ranked USC Trojans. Aside from the movement on the money line, no spread or total movement since our early week program, but this is an absolutely huge spot for Lincoln Riley's guys to pick up another quality win, this time against a Big Ten opponent. But he's going to be going up against Wink Martindale's defense and newly named starting quarterback Alex Orji. Does Michigan have enough on offense to keep this close? I think that's the question everyone wants to know here, gentlemen. Colston Loveland, the best tight end in college football, in my opinion, is questionable heading in, as is wide receiver Tyler Morris. Boys, I'd love to ride with Alex Orji. I think he's an exciting player here, but I don't know if I can get invested with so many unknowns. What say you, Bogman?
Yeah, so in this game, we've seen a lack of identity from Michigan's offense, right? But by going to Orji, we know what's going to happen. They are going to run the ball right at you.
We know I mean, it's clear as day. Everybody
Yes.
in the whole stadium knows exactly what the play
It's
call
coming.
is.
Can you stop it?
Yes.
That's what it is. And this has been the Lincoln Riley issue, is always on the defensive side, but they look so much better under Lynn this year on that side of the ball. They're missing fewer tackles. They're attacking. They're to the ball quicker. It just looks like a different group from last year. It looks much better. The only way Michigan has a shot is if they dominate that line of scrimmage on offense. Defensively, they can too, but we saw Texas spread them out, work on the edges. I think that's what you do if you're USC here. You don't want to work up the middle against NFL talent. So I think this one is going to be an underplay for me, because I think Michigan's idea is hold the ball, grind it. I think we'll see more success from that than what we've seen from this ugly offense that just turns the ball over a bunch of times under Davis Warren. So I think we'll see better success at that. It's not guaranteed. I would say I still like USC in the game, and I lean towards them in this one, but I really like the under, even though it's a low total. Low total unders have been hitting this year. So I think I'm going to trend towards the under in this game, as I think Michigan wants to play ball control and USC is going to be able to score. But Miller Moss is making his first true road start here. It's the big house. There's 100,000 people. This is not the experience that Texas brought in to Michigan. So I think it might take a couple drives, maybe more into the second half for USC to really get rolling downhill. And I don't think Michigan is going to put up too many points. Those drives are going to be long and annoying. So give me the under in this game.
Okay. Terrell, do you think we're going to see something like how the Colts could not stop and Gus Bradley could not stop Malik Willis running right down their throat here in the NFL this past week? Or do you think we can see USC maybe log jamming this rushing game from Michigan?
Oh, well, I mean, I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50. Maybe a couple of drives, Michigan will get the run game going. But ultimately, at some point, you have to throw a forward pass. And I'm not 100% positive. I mean, Davis Warren, last week, his 3 incompletions were absolutely interceptions. Like every single one of them. All 3 of the incompletions were interceptions. And they were pretty bad. And so you're telling me this guy beat him out in camp? Like, why are we even talking about this? Why are we not talking about how Orji looked a little rough in his early first couple of games, but he's starting to really find himself as the starting quarterback now. And now in a pivotal home game against USC, he rises up big and he shows it off. No, we haven't seen it because they haven't committed to him. And now we're going, what's this, game 4 in the season, and you're now going to Orji? No, he doesn't have the experience as a passer. Stack the box and make him throw it over you. Like Miller Moss, like Bog said, Miller Moss is a vet. He sat, he waited, he learned, he thrived, and now it's his time. It's either USC or no bet here. There's no way I could ever get to the window on Michigan.
Okay. All right. Yeah, fair enough. I know our friends up there in Ann Arbor are not going to be happy with that analysis.
Oh, they're about to torch me in the chat. I'm sorry,
but I get
man.
it.
I got to see the man.
Yeah.
I got to see the man as a passer for a full game.
Well, and it's kind of tough, like them throwing him right in here with the Dogs, in this big game. If he would have had more of a run, I think, early in the season against lesser competition, maybe it's not such a big deal. But, yeah, I think I'm with you guys here on that one. And if you caught our earlier week show, you probably saw me almost throw up on camera when Bogman said he wanted to get back in bed with Brian Kelly and the 16th-ranked LSU Tigers as they're hosting the now Big Ten-backed UCLA Bruins. I didn't like it then. They were 22.5-point favorites. I sure as heck don't like it now that they are 24-point favorites. LSU has a handful of second stringers and starting wide receiver Chris Hilton Jr. still questionable. No other injuries of note. Terrell, are you also going to make my stomach turn and back Brian Kelly and the boys here?
Ah, man, I mean, backing the team that I think is in Central LA, I think they're in LA. I don't really know. Maybe the coach knows. But, no, there's no way I'm backing UCLA, man. They look horrible. They look absolutely horrible, man. I mean, you start the season going to the island and just look bad on the island. And granted, the island is a tough place to play. We're talking about Hawaii here. Island, tough place to play, for sure. But then There was no shot. Like the Indiana game was horrible. Absolutely
So
horrible.
bad.
They didn't look good. Like I just don't think this UCLA team has anything positive about them right now. And whereas LSU, they're at home. We feel like this LSU offense is starting to kind of find their rhythm and get into their own. And they battle back. At the end of the day, they did battle back against South Carolina on the road. No, they didn't get the cover, but they were still able to go out there and get a win. I just don't think that UCLA is in this game at all. Like, at all.
Can you bet it though? Can you stomach it?
I could absolutely bet LSU lay 24 here. Now, I would find creative ways to bet it. Like maybe I'll take a LSU in the first half, say that they underperformed that first half last game. Back home here, UCLA going across the water, and this is a little bit of revenge. In 2021, that horrible season where Ed O ended up leaving and LSU never looked good, and then they bring in Brian Kelly the next season. UCLA got the win at home, 38-27, so it's a little bit of a revenge factor for this LSU team. I think they get up at home.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Bogman?
I mean, Seth, let's not forget, UCLA had 2 weeks to prepare for Indiana and still got smoked. This is not
Signetti, man. It's
That's
Signetti.
Signetti's great.
No, that's a good point.
Signetti's great, but they were at home. Indiana had to go all the way to LA, and they still got smoked. It's not so much that I love LSU.
Yeah.
It's that I hate UCLA and what I've seen from them. It's so bad. And we know LSU's going to score. We know they're going to score at home. And really, what the difference for UCLA has been is third downs. Third downs on offense, they are 6 for 21, which is good enough to be 116th in the country. On defense, 13 of 26, they're tied for 125th in the nation there. They're one of only 10 teams that allows 50% or better conversion from opposing offenses on third down. UCLA is a mess right now. That is the issue to me. So I'm on LSU. I'll lay the points. I honestly don't really care how big this line gets. I think LSU is going to destroy them. I might as well take the over. I would lean towards the over, but I'm on the Tigers here to dismantle UCLA. Maybe they can't look that bad again, but like Terrell said, nothing that we've seen from UCLA shows that they are going to put up a fight in this game.
How about a little side bet? Would you guys give me 30? Would you give me 30?
I'll give you 27.
Terrell, you went on this?
What am I giving you extra points for? You had extra points from what you talked about. You liked it at 22. I should give you 22. You said you called it at 22. Why don't you give me 22? Why I got to give up the extra points?
Hey, Bogman said any number. So
it's my fault.
Yeah, 22 is the number there. Since you so confident. No, I'll take it. I like LSU.
All right. First board bet of the season for the boys here. We'll decide what the official wager is here afterwards and let you guys know next week what Bogman and Terrell will be paying me for that. Let's end the afternoon slate here with a Big 12 showdown between two new rivals in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where the favorite has totally flipped since the last time we were on the program earlier this week. OK State was a 2.5-point favorite. They're now 2.5-point dogs here. I imagine that flip came because head coach Kyle Whittingham said that he does expect Cam Rising to go in this one. So, Bogman, if you got in early on Utah against the spread, you got to be feeling good, right? And is there still value to be betting them now?
Yeah, I don't like this game. This game is a stay away wholly and completely for me because I just don't know are we getting 100% Cam Rising? Because if we're getting 100% Cam Rising, I think Utah rolls. But if we're getting less than 100% Rising, I'm not trusting Zach Wilson's little brother on the road against OK State. I ain't doing it. So I can't accept that. For the fact that I don't know what Cam Rising we're getting, and Cam Rising has had so many injury issues in his career, I don't really like what we've got from OK State so far this year, specifically on defense. Their offense got rolling against Arkansas State. That was nice, but because I don't know what we're getting from Cam Rising, I'm just staying away from this game. I'm going to watch it and enjoy it and count my money that you give me while I'm watching LSU burn down UCLA.
Have you ever seen a flip like this, Terrell? Like just in the middle of the week, that one team is favored, and then the next day it seems like it's the total opposite direction?
Yeah, because people thought that Cam Rising wasn't playing. They thought that he was still going to be hurt, and they saw that Utah State game, and they saw Utah State hang around there in a little bit and was like, man, that's Cam Rising. They would have blew him out. This is an absolute lock. I mean, this is an absolute lock. You take the Utah.
What?
Utah is here, and they're in the Big 12, and I'm trying to tell you, they're going to win the Big 12 this year. That's 100% going to happen. It's happening off of Cam Rising, who is an amazing quarterback. And look, when he's healthy, he's great. It's amazing. And if you want to go out there, you want to bet on injury, then fine. I'm going to let you bet on injury while I cash with Cam Rising. Like, come on. This defense, like, Utah is one of the most complete teams in college football in terms of offensively. They look stacked. Defensively, they look really, really good. Special teams, they get block punts like every other game. Like, they look really, really good even on special teams. So Utah is one of my darlings. I love this Utah team. I think they're really, really good. Cam Rising got hurt by a freaking accident on a Gatorade cooler. Like, that's not going to happen again. That's not happening again.
But he's been hurt. He's 25, isn't he? So the quarterbacks in this game are older than the quarterbacks in the Colts game this week, because the Colts and the Texans play, I think. So, you know, these are two crusty old vets, which is nice for offense. But Bogman has been
Bowman
hit or miss.
Sucks.
Yeah, but
Bowman, like that, and that's what it is. This Utah defense is going to stack the box. He's going to stack the box. He's going to stack the box. They're going to test Gordon as a rusher, and then they're going to make Bowman pass, and then he's going to turn the ball over, and that's when Cam Rising has these deep ball shots. Like, this is Utah all the way. This is one of my favorite bets of the day.
Listen, if I knew for 100% Cam Rising was out there, I'd be taking Utah, but they let me down against Baylor when Cam Rising went down. I've already lost money on Cam Rising getting hurt, Terrell, so no, I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to stay away from this one.
We would have covered that game. We would have covered.
I lean toward, they would have, and they would have got my over too, but they didn't because he got hurt. So I'm going to stay away from this game. I am on Utah. I'd lean towards Utah, but I don't like it.
Speaking of age, if Zach Wilson's younger brother is anything like his older brother, he might be a mature guy as well, if you know what I'm saying there, guys.
I do.
And before we continue, I want to tell you about Fast Break Bets. If you like betting on basketball, then join host Terrell Furman on the Fast Break Bets podcast, your daily dose of basketball betting in 15 minutes or less. Tune in every day for a rapid-fire fix of all things basketball, from the WNBA to the NBA, all the way to college basketball and more. Check out Fast Break Bets podcast on BettingPros YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcasts. All right, and from the game with some heavy line movement to one with absolutely no line movement, we have number 8 Miami, still a 16.5-point favorite against the South Florida Bulls. We all got burned trying to fade the Tampa Bay boys earlier this season. Miami is getting healthier, though. They are bringing back some of their bigger guys up front here. Left tackle Jalen Rivers will be active in this one, as will right guard Anez Cooper. They both missed the past 2 games here for the Hurricanes. Terrell, is that enough for you to fade the South Florida team led by Byron Brown? We know that he can get loose and run wild all over him.
Yeah, and I think that the reason I'm fading is that it just smells. It just, like, why is this not like 2021 by now? Like, with all the hype that Miami has and how good they looked against Florida, and everybody's talking about Cam Ward, Heisman, and all of this, and Cristobal figured it out. I'm still not sold on Cristobal. I won't forget the coaching blunders that he had specifically towards the end of last season. I'm not going to mention it again, but I'm just saying, like, I won't forget that stuff. And I just think that this is a little brother angle. This is the little boys in Tampa getting to play big old Miami, who dominates recruiting in the area. And, hey, showing a fact that we can take this team and we can test this team. And, yeah, I like South Florida. Go ahead, get it done. Cover the 16.5. Why is this line not moved? If everybody's betting Miami, like everybody swears they're betting Miami, this line should have moved a little bit, and it's actually moved closer to South Florida.
Boggs, are you one of those who swear he's betting Miami right now?
Yeah, I'm betting Miami. And
see,
I'm. Here's the thing. I've been burned by USF 2 years in a row, but that was against Bama. And we saw Brown run wild. Really, what it is I don't trust Cristobal either, Terrell. What I do trust is Cam Ward. And I think Cam Ward is a nightmare for this defense, where they can go out and they can make Jalen Milroe face some bad decisions and throw some bad balls. You're not going to get that from Cam Ward. It is a dangerous it's a dangerous proposition to put too much pressure on him because he'll take off and he can float it too. And the wide receivers are much better here at Miami than they were at Washington State for him last season. I think this is a Miami walk. It makes me nervous that USF has been so good at playing up in these big games and they're at home, but I'm going to go with my gut. My gut says Cam Ward, Miami rolls.
Okay, let's shift gears here to a game where we know a ton of money is coming in on. Tennessee, number 6 in the nation. They'll be up against number 15th ranked Oklahoma, but the line is just slightly moved where the best value for Tennessee is now 6.5 at FanDuel. This is one of the few bets I've made this week. I'm rolling with Tennessee. They're 3-0 against the spread. They're 3-0 to the over this season. Oklahoma will still also be without starting center Branson Hickman. Bogman, is that all the more reasons to keep the good times rolling with the Volunteers in Norman, the site of College Game Day this week?
Yeah, I mean, my first instinct when I saw this game was, all right, well, Tennessee has not faced a defense like Oklahoma. And while that stays true, and I do think Oklahoma will play better on defense than, we've seen NC State or anybody else play against Tennessee. I think really the difference in this game is the offensive line of Oklahoma versus the defensive line of Tennessee. And I just don't think that Oklahoma, who's already had issues on offense, is going to be rolling downhill in a game at home against Tennessee. And Josh Heupel was fired from Oklahoma. So he comes back in probably a little bit angry, maybe wanting to run this score up a little bit in Norman, the first SEC matchup for Oklahoma as a member of the SEC as well. And I really just think that it's too much pressure from this defensive front of Tennessee for Oklahoma. Oklahoma right now is currently 123rd in run block grade. They're 114th in passing yards per game, 67th in rushing. Tennessee is strong on the D-line. They're 8th in pass rush grade, 4th in run defensive grade. OU, like we said, 66th and 128th. So just it's not a good matchup there. It's overwhelming in Tennessee's favor on the defensive side right now. So I know it's at home. Oklahoma is a strong team, but Tennessee is rolling downhill with momentum and that big difference on defense. I see Oklahoma having a hard time on offense.
Terrell, are you riding with us? Because I think Bogman makes a great point there. Everyone wants to talk about this Tennessee offense and how stellar it looks under Nico, but this defense, number 2 in total defense, like they are legit on the other side of the ball as well. So you rolling with the Volunteers and Boggs and I?
I mean, how do we know they're legit on defense? They played nobody. They haven't played anybody.
True.
Grayson McCall looked horrible. We were just roasting NC State.
Is Oklahoma somebody?
What? Yeah. So if Oklahoma
on offense, there's somebody.
I think Oklahoma. Yes, I think Oklahoma is fine on offense. They went and played a very good Tulane team that I like, and they were able to run the score up late in that one. And then the only question that I'm like is, okay, Houston might suck. Houston might not be good. Like that's really, but that's kind of a rivalry game a little bit. Like I think that Houston kind of got up for that one, but this Tennessee team, I just haven't seen anything. At least I've seen them have some adversity on Oklahoma. I have no idea how this Tennessee squad this year responds to adversity, and you're telling me that you're going to Norman on the road in their first SEC game? No, I think that Brent Venables is on the hot seat, and I think this is one of the games where he shows that he coaches up that defense to keep them in the game. I like the under. I think the under is the best play. I think people are on the over, and I think it's quick to go to the over, but I do like the under. I think the under is a better play. I think that Nico's going to have a little bit of a rough game in what I believe is his second road start, and so, yeah, I'm backing the OU here, plus the points. I think it's a 3-point game either way.
I like the under as well because think, I do like this is a tough game for Nico. This is way more tough than going to a neutral site in Carolina and playing against NC State. This is a true test for Tennessee on offense. Like Terrell said, they haven't been tested, but like I said, my issue is that I don't think that Oklahoma is going to move the ball well at all in this game. So I'm going to stick to the Tennessee side, but I like Terrell right on the under there.
And the Samson is probably going to control clock. Like I think they're going to run Samson into the ground, and they're going to burn a lot of clock there too. So
okay, all right. Well, mark your calendars, gents, because now on to everyone's favorite game of the week: unranked Iowa versus unranked Minnesota. The Big Ten.
How did this make the card?
Because it's better than Colorado's
card?
a joke.
Yes.
We couldn't put Colorado unranked on here again.
Yes,
too bad.
Hey, a little Big Ten bias. I'm here for it. You guys know me. Minnesota, they remain a 2.5-point dog, and I don't think they should be, to be honest. They're a missed field goal away from beating UNC in the opener. They just beat down Nevada 27-0. I know Nevada's not really a top dog or anything, but I think Nevada's been, surprisingly better than expected this season. Iowa, meanwhile, they just let Troy put up 21 on them at home after letting one slip away against Iowa State the week prior. This is the first time they're going to leave their own barn this season as well. The more I look at this line, the more I somewhat want to get invested with Minnesota. Terrell, I can't bet college football player props in Pennsylvania, so tell me and the viewers where we should be putting our money here.
Yeah, I'm just going to continue to back Iowa. And I think this is a perfect get-right spot on the road. They've actually been pretty solid on the road as a road favorite, 26-17-2 with Ferret. So I think that this is probably a good spot where it's just heavy defense. I understand that that's backing Kate McNamara on the road, and that doesn't feel good to me at all. It actually makes me sick to my stomach. But, I mean, this is just a spot where Iowa's defense just kind of wakes up, and I think that's why people are betting the over. Continue to bet the under in this game, by the way. Big Ten defenses, don't question it, back the under. But people are backing the over because they've seen Iowa give up that 21 to Troy. They saw how the end with Rocco Beck, that Iowa State. Hey, there was a lot of people in the comments that were getting on me about that Iowa State pick. I'm not going to call you out, but it was a lot of people on the comments that got me about that Iowa State pick. I think this is a spot where you back Iowa on the road. It's a short enough line for me. I'll take Iowa lay 2.5.
You going with Ferens and company here, Boggs?
Yeah, so I think that Iowa is not as impervious as they have been, particularly giving up big plays, right? That's been their issue the last 2 weeks. They gave up the big play at the end of the game to Iowa State, 54 yards. And then last week against Troy, 63, 43, and 62-yard touchdowns. They gave up to Troy in that game. The problem is Minnesota is not the team to take advantage of a team that gets beat on the back end. They have not had a lot of explosive plays. I believe 3 over 30 yards. There are only 10 teams with fewer than that this season. So because of that, I think this plays exactly into what we think. An ugly, low-scoring, run it at each other, the defense wins, field position, nonsense game. And who wins those games every time? Kirk Ferentz and Iowa. So give me Iowa in this game. I don't love it. I'm not touching the total because we know that Iowa can get beat deep. Will they by Minnesota? I don't know. I know most of the money is actually on the over in this game.
Wow.
I just won't touch the total. I'll just stay away from it. Give me Iowa. I'll lean towards them in this game. But, I don't want the total.
Would you guys then also be interested maybe in just missing out on the points and going Iowa money line minus 134, laying a little bit of juice there?
Sure.
Yeah,
I don't hate that.
I would take Iowa money line and then also take that total and just take it under. Or if you want to, I know you're not supposed to tease across zero. There's rules to teases and all that. Don't tease across zero. But if you want to tease Iowa down and you want to tease the total up, take the under, I think that's a really solid play.
Okay, let's close out the program here with what Bogman referred to earlier in the week as potential trap game. Number 13, Kansas State. They are hot off a 31-17 smacking of Arizona. They now travel to Provo, Utah to face the unranked wily BYU Cougars. This K-State team has been well documented, a lot of homegrown talent in that clubhouse. But BYU also not getting enough love, I don't think, in the rankings right now. They beat a good SMU team 18-15 in week number 2. And then they took care of business on a road trip to Wyoming last week as well. Still, the status of BYU's starting running back and second-string running back is still uncertain. They sat last week at Wyoming. Bogman, does that move the needle enough for you to back K-State here, who are now 6.5-point favorites, knocking off half a point from earlier this week?
Let me just correct you that BYU beat a mediocre SMU team. Because this team is completely different than what they were last season. So look, BYU already looks much better than what we thought they were going to look at all this year. And I know Retzlaff is looked a little bit better as well. My gut screams in this game that this is a letdown spot for Kansas. They just had the huge win against Arizona. They look so dominant. They're going on the road, right, to Provo to play BYU. That's tough. They've got OK State coming up next week, so it's a look-ahead game as well. And Retzlaff really terrible against the blitz, and Kansas State doesn't blitz. Their pass rush, it might be one of the worst factors on this team. So everything in my brain screams look ahead, upset, whatever. Don't take Kansas State. But then I look at K-State and see how they dominated a good team in Arizona, had the longest winning streak in the country coming into K-State, and beat the brakes off of them. I'm just staying away. I'm going to stay away from this game as a whole because my gut says that take the money or take the points with BYU, but I don't want to put money on BYU at any point this year. So I'm just going to stay away from this game and hope I'm right on the BYU side.
Maybe get to bed early that night, Bogman. Maybe just miss it all entirely.
Look, if this opens up, if this gets to like 10 or 11, I'll probably take BYU.
Okay. How do you feel about it, Terrell?
Oh, well, this is the upset parlay of the week. 2-team upset parlay. Ooh. Yeah, we're taking BYU and we're parlaying them with the Illini here. And we're going to go out here and get a nice payout there because, look, you're going to Provo. First of all, this is Avery Johnson's second road game. He played that first game at Tulane, and he didn't look good. Honestly, it took a horrible call at the end of the game for them to even go out there and get the win. Or I thought Tulane was driving. I thought Tulane was going to make this interesting, send into overtime, and we were going to go out there and see some more fireworks. But now you're going to Provo in elevation. Like, people keep forgetting that's sneaky elevation over there in Utah, man. Like, that's not.
That's how they beat you down. It's a tough environment too, and elevation. You're right.
And so I think that BYU this game is going to own the line of scrimmage. They're going to be the more physical team, and they're going to just outman this Kansas State team where, yes, they do look good. But again, everything you said, Boggs, is absolutely correct. This is the letdown spot. This is the sneaky game. You're going out here and you're playing a BYU team that did nothing in the Big 12 last year. And you think that, hey, we're as good as we are. We can go out here. We feel like we can win the Big 12. Absolutely not. BYU has something to say. They give them a loss. Plus 6.5 on the money line. You have to bet this one.
Okay.
Braver than I am. Wow. I don't want to take BYU, but I like the confidence, Terrell. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll do it for us today on the Betting Pros College Football Show. Bogman will be back later in the week with some more of his best bets and player props. Until then, like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the whole channel. Check out the podcast feed as well. Plus, download the Betting Pros app and sync your sportsbooks today. For Terrell Furman and Scott Bogman, I am Seth Woolcock. Thanks for watching. Take care, y'all.